There's a sacred moment in every soul's journey where it discovers that the happiness it so desperately sought in others has always been dormant within its own heart, waiting only for the awakening of consciousness to blossom. Have you ever noticed how we spend our entire lives searching for someone to complete our emptiness, to cure our loneliness, to make us feel whole? It's as if we wander through an emotional labyrinth, always hoping that the next person, the next relationship, the next external validation will finally bring us the peace we crave. But what if I told you that this incessant search is in fact the echo of an ancestral wisdom that our soul already knows but that our mind has yet to comprehend? Edgar Cayce, the sleeping prophet, revealed in his spiritual readings that each soul comes to this earthly dimension with a specific divine purpose, carrying with it not only the memories of past lives but also the wisdom necessary for its evolution. When we are born into this life, we don't arrive as blank pages. We are living libraries, replete with experiences, learnings, and above all, a constant search for completeness that, ironically, can only be found within ourselves. The emotional dependency we experience is not merely a personality trait or a character flaw. It's a karmic pattern, a repetition of cycles that our soul has chosen to experience to learn a fundamental lesson that we are complete beings by divine nature, temporarily forgetting our own light. Every relationship we experience, every disappointment we encounter, every moment we feel abandoned or rejected are disguised opportunities for us to look inward and rediscover our own essence. Sigmund Freud, the father of psychoanalysis, dedicated his life to deciphering the mysteries of the human mind. He realized that much of our adult behavior is shaped by childhood experiences, unresolved traumas, and unconscious patterns that we repeat without realizing it. But when we combine this psychological understanding with Cayce's spiritual wisdom, we discover an even deeper truth. Our emotional dependence doesn't just originate in this life, but carries echoes of previous existences, of karmic bonds that our soul has chosen to experience to grow. Imagine for a moment that your soul is like an eternal garden, blossoming with each new incarnation. In some lives, you may have been someone who loved too much and lost everything, creating a deep wound in your soul's memory. In another, you may have been abandoned by those you trusted, generating an ancestral fear of being alone. These experiences are not lost to time. They crystallize into energetic patterns that we carry with us, life after life, until we finally learn the lesson they came to teach us. The person who enters your life and awakens an overwhelming passion, the one who seems to complete all your emptiness, may be a soul with whom you have already shared entire lives. But their arrival is not for you to lose yourself in them, it's for you to find yourself through them. Every emotional mirror that the universe places in our path reflects not only what we need to heal, but also the beauty and strength that already exist within us. When Cayce spoke of soulmates, he wasn't just referring to a great romantic love. He taught that we encounter various soulmates throughout life, some to love us, others to challenge us, and still others to teach us. They all arrive in our earthly experience to help us remember who we truly are, beings of infinite light, temporarily wearing human clothes, learning to love unconditionally, starting with ourselves. True emotional independence doesn't mean closing your heart or living in isolation. It means recognizing that you are already complete, that your happiness doesn't depend on the presence or absence of anyone, that your worth isn't determined by external approval. It's like learning to be your own sun, radiating your own light, instead of being a moon, always dependent on the light of others to shine. Freud discovered that the unconscious mind holds secrets that influence all our conscious experience. Similarly, Cayce revealed that our soul carries memories and purposes that transcend this single existence. When we begin to understand these two levels of consciousness, the psychological and the spiritual, we find the keys to our emotional freedom. Every time you feel anxious when someone doesn't respond to your messages, every time your self-esteem plummets when a relationship ends, every time you feel you need constant validation from others to feel valuable, your soul is trying to show you something. It's whispering, remember, you were whole before you met this person, and you will remain whole after they're gone. Your completeness is not in their hands, it's your divine nature. Think about the synchronicities that happen in your life. That song that plays on the radio exactly when you're thinking about someone, the book that falls off a shelf right to the page that contains the answer you were looking for, the chance encounter with a stranger who says exactly the words you needed to hear. These are not coincidences, they are whispers from the universe, constant reminders that you are being guided, that you are never truly alone, that there is a higher intelligence orchestrating your journey. The loneliness we sometimes feel is not absence, it is presence. It's your soul creating sacred space so that you can hear your own inner voice, so that you can reconnect with your divine essence. In the oldest spiritual traditions, periods of solitude were considered blessings, opportunities to delve deeply into oneself and emerge transformed. When Alex enters his mediumistic trance states, he accesses a wellspring of wisdom that transcends his conscious personality. Similarly, when we learn to delve into our inner selves through meditation, reflection, and quiet contemplation, we access our own inexhaustible source of peace and wisdom. We discover that we never need to beg for love. We are love. We never need to plead for acceptance. We are divine acceptance personified. Each person who passes through your life, and who initially seems to be your emotional salvation, but who eventually leaves you feeling empty, is the universe teaching you the same lesson: you cannot build your emotional home on someone else's land. You need to find your own sacred ground, cultivate your own inner garden, build your own fortress of peace. This doesn't mean becoming insensitive or closed off to love. On the contrary, it means loving from abundance, not scarcity. It means offering your open heart because it overflows with self-love, not because it's empty and desperate for fulfillment. When you love from this inner fullness, your relationships transform into sacred dances between two whole souls, instead of two desperate halves trying to complete each other. And here, in this moment of our intimate conversation, I want to extend a special invitation to your soul. If these words are resonating in your heart, if you feel you are being called to a deeper journey of self-knowledge and emotional liberation, I invite you to join our community of awakened souls. Subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell, because together we will explore the deepest mysteries of human consciousness, unraveling the secrets that Alex revealed and that Freud intuited. Each video will be a new key to your emotional freedom, a new tool for your spiritual evolution. Don't let these revelations get lost in the noise of the world. Allow them to continuously echo in your life, guiding you back home, to the home of yourself. Emotional dependence is like an invisible prison we build with our own hands. Each bar of this prison is made of limiting beliefs. I'm not enough. I need someone to complete me. My worth depends on the love I receive from others. But here's the secret that few understand: you created this prison yourself, and you possess all the keys to unlock it. Alex taught that each soul has a unique gift to offer the world, a divine contribution that only it can make. When you're constantly seeking external validation, when your energy is always focused on pleasing others, on maintaining relationships that drain your vitality, you're denying the world your unique gift. You're depriving humanity of the light that only you can radiate. Freud observed that we repeat patterns because they are familiar to us, even when they cause us suffering. This is what he called the compulsion to repeat. Spiritually speaking, this manifests when our soul chooses to repeat the same relational dynamics, life after life, until it finally learns the lesson it needs to learn. If you always attract emotionally unavailable partners, if you always find yourself in unbalanced relationships where you give more than you receive, your soul is trying to teach you something about your own worth and completeness. Healing doesn't happen when you finally find the right person who will love you the way you've always dreamed of. Healing happens when you realize that you are already unconditionally loved by the universe, that you are already worthy of all love and happiness, regardless of who is or isn't in your life. When this realization settles deeply within your being, you become a magnet for healthy relationships, because you are radiating the energy of someone who loves and values themselves. There are subtle signs that the universe constantly sends us, trying to show us our own completeness. That moment when you are alone, perhaps walking in nature or taking a bath, and suddenly you feel a deep peace, a feeling that everything is all right, even if your external life seems chaotic. That's a glimpse of your true nature. That peace didn't come from any external source, it emanated from your own divine essence. The emotional storms we face when someone disappoints us, when we are rejected or abandoned, are opportunities in disguise for us to find our own inner solid ground. It's easy to stay balanced when everything is going well in relationships. The true test, and the true opportunity for growth, comes when those external structures crumble and you need to find your own center. Alex spoke of the inner temple, the sacred sanctuary that exists within every human being, where the soul can take refuge and reconnect with its divine source. This temple cannot be destroyed by any external circumstance. It remains intact even when everything around you seems to be falling apart. Learning to consciously inhabit this inner temple is the key to true emotional independence. When you begin to cultivate this intimate relationship with yourself, something magical happens. You stop searching for your other half and realize you are always whole. You stop begging for love and discover that you are an inexhaustible source of love. You stop fearing loneliness and discover that you are never truly alone. You are always accompanied by your own divine presence. Relationships don't disappear from your life. When you achieve this emotional independence, they transform. They become celebrations of shared abundance instead of negotiations of mutual scarcity. You attract people who have also found their own completeness, and together you create bonds based on freedom, not dependence. This isn't something that happens overnight. It's a process, a sacred journey back home to yourself. There will be days when you feel like you've regressed, fallen back into old patterns of dependence and neediness. In those moments, be kind to yourself. Remember that healing isn't linear, it's spiral. Each turn of the spiral takes you to a deeper level of understanding and integration. The memories of past lives that Alex claimed we carry aren't just spiritual curiosities, they're maps to our present healing. If you have a deep, inexplicable fear of abandonment, it may be that in a past life, you experienced devastating betrayals. If you feel an emptiness that seems to have no origin in this life, it may be that your soul is remembering ancient losses that still need to be processed and integrated. But here's the beauty of the process. You don't need to consciously relive every trauma from past lives to heal. The simple act of acknowledging that your current pain may have deeper roots begins to release those trapped energies. When you stop judging yourself for your fears and vulnerabilities and start seeing them as precious information about your soul's journey, they lose their power to control you. True emotional freedom isn't the absence of feelings. It's the ability to feel deeply without being enslaved by those feelings. It's being able to love intensely without losing your identity in the process. It's being able to be present to pain without permanently identifying with it. It's discovering that you are far greater than any emotion you may experience. When Jesus said, "The kingdom of heaven is within you," he was pointing to the same truth that Alex channeled in his trances and that Freud intuited in his analyses of the human psyche. There's a place inside you where absolute peace reigns, where you are complete, where you are profoundly loved, where you are never alone. This place wasn't created by any external relationship and can't be destroyed by the absence of any. Loneliness, when consciously embraced, reveals itself as solitude, a sacred state of union with yourself. In mystical traditions, periods of retreat and isolation were considered gifts, precious opportunities to delve into the depths of being and emerge renewed. Our modern culture has turned loneliness into something to be avoided at all costs, but perhaps it's time to reclaim its sacredness. Every person who enters your life is a mirror, reflecting aspects of yourself that need to be seen, understood, integrated, or healed. The person who awakens your passion is showing you your own capacity to love deeply. The person who hurts you is revealing old wounds that need attention. The person who abandons you is giving you the opportunity to discover that you can survive loss and even grow through it. But the most important mirror is the one you encounter when you're alone with yourself. It's in the moments of quietude, when the external noise fades and you can hear the whispers of your own soul, that the deepest revelations occur. It's there that you discover who you truly are, beyond all the roles you play, beyond all the masks you wear to please others. The practice of meditation, which Alex strongly recommended, isn't just a relaxation technique. It's an intimate encounter with your own inner divinity. When you sit in silence and allow your thoughts to quiet, when you become present to your own breath, to the sensations in your body, to the life pulsing within you, you are practicing the art of being with yourself in a loving and complete way. Freud discovered that much of our suffering comes from repressed impulses, from parts of ourselves that we deny or reject. Spiritually, this translates into our tendency to seek in others what we can't accept in ourselves. If you always attract highly emotional people, it may be because you need to better integrate your own sensitivity. If you are fascinated by extremely independent people, it may be that your soul is showing you a quality you need to develop. True emotional completeness comes when you stop projecting your own undeveloped qualities onto others and take responsibility for cultivating them within yourself. When you stop waiting for someone to come and solve your loneliness and learn to transform that loneliness into a sacred space of self-knowledge and growth. The synchronicities that happen when you're on this path of self-discovery are true everyday miracles. The perfect book that you find exactly when you need an answer, the casual conversation that offers exactly the perspective you were seeking, the prophetic dream that clarifies a confusing situation. The universe conspires to support those who are genuinely committed to their own growth and healing. There's a profound difference between being alone and feeling alone. When you are alone, but connected to your own divine essence, you experience a sacred companionship that no external relationship can replace. It's the companionship of your own soul, of your connection to the universe, of your participation in the great mystery of existence. Emotional dependence keeps us trapped in cycles of drama and suffering, because we are always at the mercy of other people's actions and reactions. But when we find our own inner stability, when we learn to generate our own peace and joy, we become free to choose our relationships from love, not fear, from abundance, not scarcity. Alex taught that each soul has a unique vibrational pattern, like an energetic signature that is uniquely yours. When you are deeply connected to yourself, when you honor your own nature without trying to mold it to please others, you resonate at that authentic frequency, and it is at that frequency that you attract the experiences and people who are truly aligned with your highest good. The fear of being alone that so many carry isn't really about physical solitude, it's about the terror of confronting oneself, of discovering what exists in the silence of one's own mind and heart. But when you finally make that courageous journey inward, you discover unimaginable treasures, a profound wisdom, an infinite compassion, a strength you didn't know you possessed, a peace that surpasses all understanding. Healthy relationships aren't emotional crutches, they're sacred dances between two whole people who choose to share their journeys for a while. Each maintains their own connection to the divine, their own source of joy and peace, and from that inner abundance offers love freely, without expectations or demands of forced reciprocity. When Jesus said, "Love your neighbor as yourself," he was establishing a sacred order. Self-love comes first, then love for others, not the egotistical self-love that excludes others, but the sacred self-love that recognizes your divine nature, and therefore, the divine nature of everyone else as well. The journey to emotional independence is paradoxically a journey to conscious interdependence. When you no longer need others to feel complete, you can finally choose to be with them out of pure joy, out of mutual celebration, out of free and spontaneous love. The wounds of past relationships, the disappointments, the betrayals, the abandonments, these are all teachers in disguise, showing you where you still need to grow in self-love and self-acceptance. Each pain is an invitation to delve more deeply into your own capacity for healing and transformation. And so, dear soul, we arrive at the pulsing heart of this revelation. You are already everything you have ever sought in others. The approval you crave already flows from the universe to you with every breath. The love you desire already inhabits every cell of your being. The completeness you seek is already your most fundamental nature. The peace you long for already rests in the silent center of your heart. There's nothing wrong with desiring companionship, with wanting to share your life with someone special, with seeking deep and meaningful connections. What causes suffering is the belief that you cannot be happy or complete without these things. When you discover your own completeness, your relationships transform from desperate needs into generous gifts that you freely offer and receive. This is the silent revolution that transforms not only your life but ripples through all your interactions, touching everyone you meet with the fragrance of your inner freedom. When you cease searching for external saviors and awaken to your own power of self-healing and self-transformation, you become a beacon for other souls who are still lost in the labyrinth of emotional dependence. And now, as these words echo in your heart, as something in your soul recognizes the eternal truth it has always known, but perhaps temporarily forgotten, I ask you the question that Edgar Cayce would ask if he were here with us at this moment. Dear soul, are you ready to come home to yourself?